That's actually 3 seasons for you.
Yes. So yay, we're live on YouTube. So, hey guys, I'm super excited if you're joining us live. I know a few of you have been. It's our 4th or 5th week now that we've been doing live on YouTube. And so before I start recording, let me take this off. I'm still learning it. So anyway, I'm super excited. If you guys are live, make sure to leave a comment. I know some of you did last week, which was so amazing. And I love actually being live on YouTube because you guys are reaching out to me and you're engaging with it. And I definitely go back and read the comments. And so definitely feel free when we're talking, share a comment, share what you like. So when I go back, we can do more of that. I know what to kind of share and ask questions too. So you guys are getting the most value. And then the other thing I was going to share with the YouTubers before I go live on the podcast is that I'm in the hallway doing this because where I'm at, there's construction in the office. And I was like, I really want this audio to be so good. So if you're on, that's why I'm here. And it's no excuse to not show up at the time, at the thing, at the place. When you make a commitment to yourself, you do whatever you can to make it happen and follow through. And one of my commitments to you guys was to do a podcast every single week for another 52 weeks. And I'm super excited. So the other thing, one more announcement is that Facebook now has the podcast on the Facebook page. So if you go on my Facebook page, you can see that the podcast is now there. You can stream it right from Facebook whenever you want without having to go to another platform, if that's something that you want. And so with that, we are going to start recording. So, hey guys, welcome to episode 76 of the Colleen Gallagher podcast. I am just super grateful. I'm so honored if you're tuning in. If it's your first time, welcome. If you're returning, intoxicate the world with lover and you're a Colleen Gallagher community person, you're one who's here to influence this world of love, do massive things, welcome back. This is going to be such a special episode and a conversation with someone who I've really gotten to know more the past couple of weeks, but I've known him for quite a few years. And I'm excited to highlight him. I'm excited to bring his wisdom and beauty into this community, into this conversation, into this frequency for you guys to really have a place to tune in every Monday morning throughout the week to receive a frequency that will expand you, that will inspire you, that will empower you, that will really allow you to say, yes, I can do this too. I can raise my hand. I can trust the unknown. I can trust the unseen, and everything is happening for me right in divine timing. And so before we get into the episode, I'm going to share our sponsor today, which is stamps.com. So since 1998, stamps.com has been an indispensable tool for nearly 1 million businesses. Stamps.com brings the services of the U.S. Postal Service and UPS shipping right to your computer. Whether you're in office sending invoices, a side hustle, Etsy shop, or a full-blown warehouse shipping out orders, Stamps.com will make your life easier. All you need is a computer and a standby printer. No special supplies or equipment. Within minutes, you're up and running, printing official postage for any letter, any package, anywhere you want to send. And you'll get exclusive discounts on postage and shipping for USPS and UPS. Once your mail is ready, just schedule a pickup or drop off. No traffic, no lines. Cut the confusion out of shipping with Stamps.com. New rate advisor tool, you can compare shipping rates and timelines to easily find the best option. Save time and money with Stamps.com. There's no risk. And with my promo code POD, P as in Pam, O as in Oscar, D as in dog, you get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in POD. That's Stamps.com, promo code POD. Stamps.com. Never go to the post office again. And so with that, I'm super excited to introduce Brian Sebastian. He is a really media legacy, you could say. You're someone who has done tens of thousands, millions, probably interviews, shows and interviews. And I know one of your platforms has almost 10 million downloads or views. I believe it is that's with your radio. You're someone who really connects with people deeply. You care about really asking the right questions for people to express what needs to come through them and for the transformation to not only occur within that person, but within everyone around to listen to that person. And you're so brilliant at that. You're so great at it. And I'm just excited to have a conversation to see how you even got into media, how you even got into a path towards enlightenment, some of the amazing projects that you're working on, and just really see how other people can do this too. So with that, I would love to welcome you and just start with, how did you get here? How is Brian here at this podcast in this moment, in this body? What occurred for that?
Well, I have to first congratulate you on being on your third season, because if you're on 77 and going strong for another 52 weeks, congratulations. That's not easy. And you have a sponsor, that's even better. You're going to have more, because most people who do podcasts, they don't even know how to get a sponsor. They think it's all going to come to them. That's not how it works, does it, Colleen? You have to put in the work. You got to put out that energy like that, and making those causes will come back to you. So congratulations to you for that, because I'm going to help you get some others. How I started in the radio in the early 80s. I started working at a Merv Griffin station, news radio. It was one of those things where you start behind the doors, because it was harder to get in the radio at that point. And then lo and behold, when I moved to California, it was one of those things where I ended up on the top station called Power 106 in Los Angeles, which is still here, but it was a different radio at that point. KISS, Power, The Wave. And one of those things where I saw things change, when you can see things changing, and you know what it's like when you travel around the world, see things changing. You better adapt, you better adjust to the new change, or you find yourself being left behind. So I always wanted to be that forefront of thing and helping my friends and my fellow brothers and my fellow sisters to get to where they needed to do. I'm an actor and I love to do that.
And I love that. And the other thing is when you're talking, it's so beautiful. You can hear like birds chirping in the background when you're speaking. And it's like, I feel like it's almost like this, like, oh my gosh, we're going to church on a Monday morning in a beautiful way. But I think the thing that I want to highlight, or I want to go here. So people here, like maybe want to start a podcast, like a lot of people in this community, they have something that's important that's happened in their life. They have something they want to share. They have a paradigm they want to shift. And I think sometimes they get nervous, whether it's showing up on camera, whether it's showing up on microphone. And so what would you say to people who are sitting there, who have something to say, but they're just so nervous to take that step? Like, what would you, if you had to break down a process of what needs to happen for someone to be like, you know what, after listening to this podcast, I can do these steps and make it happen. And if I just duplicate that over and over again, I will have a successful, media career or starting media career.
I tell people what I'm doing. The reason why I'm doing it, I've done it without a website, without a book, without a documentary. And the reason why I wanted to do it like that is not because I wanted to, because I didn't really have a choice. Came from traditional. And I saw when the influencers were coming back in 2014, 2015, Eric Zuley, as you know, was one of them. I saw how things were changing. I started bringing those influencers in. I learned a lot from them, because at that point they were on Vine, Snapchat, Periscope, and they were kicking butt. And then once they started coming onto the platforms as Twitter, Instagram, which hadn't come out yet, and then Facebook and other things like that, now LinkedIn, it was one of those things where you saw what they were doing, take what they were doing and mold it into your own. So I always tell people, what I'm doing, you can copy what I'm doing. I'm okay with that. The reason why I went to Franklin, Tennessee, not Nashville, Franklin, to do the shows, I wanted to take it outside the mainstream of California to see how it would work. Meaning I took it to the people. In Franklin, Tennessee alone, we have 4,600,000 views and counting. The numbers never go down, always go up, and never stay the same. Let me repeat that. They never stay the same. That's just in Tennessee, and they're not on YouTube. Now, as the next day, I'll have 1.3 million views on my YouTube channel. It's at 1.299930 right now, Colleen. I'm going to take a picture when it snaps over and do that. And then on Halanas, the social media site, I have 53,100 views. On Eric Zuley's Wall of Fame, I have 2,100 views. I have a pan that I have me and the girls that's got 90 views. I only go by views. They always go up. I always say this. You can have followers, but you can unfollow someone, right? You can always like something. I'm like, I don't like that anymore. Change your mind 5 minutes later. And you can always subscribe to something that's free for 30 days and then unsubscribe. But you can never unview a view. So if you're going by the views, that's what people want to see. Remember that.
I think that's so powerful. And I love what you're saying, because I think a lot of people, and I've said this, they're like, but Colleen, like, I don't have this following, or I don't have this thing. And, I've started my social media channels over so many times after I've already built a brand and like given up quote unquote followers. Like I think my one profile was like 10,000. Then I had 1,000. Now on my Instagram, I have 400 or something like. And it's funny because it's even like the less followers I have, the more money that I'm making. And it's so funny because obviously I've had an infrastructure, but I like what you said, because you can't unview a view. And that is so true. Like you can't unsee something once you see it. It's like when you say, like, if you were to witness a murder, that's, kind of intense, but witness something that wasn't okay, or witness something, are you then guilty by seeing it? And this, it's like, once you view something, you have a responsibility to kind of implement on whatever you've seen. Once you see something, it activates something inside of you, whether you choose to numb it or choose to take action, that's up to you. But once you view something, once you see something, no matter what, it's planted a seed in someone's mind. Whereas like a follower, or this, someone could follow you, but they may never look at your content. It could be like a bot following someone for you, or I mean, subscribing on a podcast, people don't usually subscribe unless, well, you could, because it could be like, oh, subscribe to get this free thing, or, whatever. So people will subscribe to podcasts to grow that one, but just to get a chance to enter a drawing or something. But the downloads and the views, like you're saying on a video, like you can't undo that. Like you have planted a seed in the mind of somebody or many people through that. And I think that's really powerful. Even if you just have a video with one view, that is just one person you planted a seed, and that is enough. That is enough for your confirmation, for your validation to keep on going.
Well, here's the other thing about this. I've always said this. I can't get 10 million followers, but I have 10 million plus views and growing. I will be able to get between now and the end of the year 12 million on my Tuesday night show, and you're coming up soon in a couple of weeks. I'm at 1.7 right now. I could possibly get to 2 million between now and the end of the year. That's intention. That's energy. It's also pushing it. I couldn't do that with followers. There's no way. However, on the flip side of that, I have 97 million followers in my social media network. That's the influences that I have. When I walk into a party, and I was thinking about this today, I'm going to invite you to something that I have coming up next February, the Super Bowl week. Hopefully you'll be in the town or in the country. If not, I'm going to have you come back because I want you to be there. I got people that want you to meet because it's based on energy. But it's one of those things where the followers start to come if they like what you're putting up, meaning once they viewed it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And I think I want to back this up a little bit more for people who don't know you, because I don't even know everything you've done or achieved or the networks that you do. So maybe if you could just give like a little blurb of what are the networks that you started, you've owned, you've let go of, like give us a little bit of a background so people have a little bit more of an idea of how long you've been doing this, how well versed you are in this, and really the expertise you have in the power of what you're sharing.
Well, as we see things starting to change, I always go by the climate now. I'm all about energy. I like those companies that are environmentally friendly, sustainable, and for future Mariposa, net zero. Those are the three things that I go after. That's what attracts me and vice versa. I'm about saving Mother Earth and helping women or gender empowerment. The things I always tell people, copy what I'm doing. I'm okay with that. If I can do it without a book, a movie, or a website, so can you. Is it easy? No, it's not. I make that clear. It is not easy doing what we're doing. Just because you get a microphone and got headphones and it looks cute, do you think you're going to get people to come to you? No, on Spotify alone. Spotify in 2020 had 1.7 million podcasts alone. That's Spotify. They now have 2.3 podcasts. That's Spotify. So think about that. What about Pandora? What about Sirius? What about iHeart? All those things. We're on all those platforms with Talk for Media. Dean Piper has one of the best outlets and distribution rates out there in the world, and he's out of Florida. He's the person that owns Talk for Media, the outlet that I'm on. And then I have K4HD Radio. That's all radio. It's one of the iHeart platforms here in California. So it's about being on those different platforms. My top 5, I believe, are iHeart, Pandora, Google, Apple, and Spotify in that order. And then I have Tennessee, iTube 247, streaming on Tennessee. Then I have the Worldwide TV Network, which used to be the Women's Broadcast TV Network that Shay Vaughn, Shay Vaughn, her son is Vince Vaughn, the actor. So I said no to her 3 times before I said yes, because I didn't feel she was ready for what I was bringing to her. It's one of these things where I'm here to help you, and I see something in you. I want to help you get that word, give voice to the voiceless. And so I couldn't be more happier for what you're doing. I really say that. I don't miss words. I don't have to. I'm not subservient to anybody because of the brand. It's one of those things where I want to help you get to where you need to go, not the other way around. I'm all for the mom and pop companies, those people that need to get the brand out because it's hard and it's expensive, but I don't charge a lot. It's one of those things. I'm here to serve to help you guys.
I love that you say that, Brian. And I think it's really important because I think a lot of people listening in this community or where you guys are at is you want to know how the money is going to work, like how it's going to come. And obviously I can't, like, people ask me all the time, like, how do you make money on your podcast? And yes, every podcast now I have a sponsor. So every single episode I generate money. And obviously as it goes, like, it gets bigger and bigger. And I'm on 18 different distribution platforms. Like you just noticed, we just got on Facebook, which is exciting. But when I started, right, I literally started, I got my mic, I went in my walk-in closet, and it was honestly one of my most painful times, because I just let go of my child. I made a commitment to this fetus that I let go of, that I was going to like love myself and my things. Everyone in the community, if you guys knew that you really wanted me to start a podcast, like a lot of you were saying that, a lot of you told me that. And, I never took action. And then I was like, I'm going to do it for 1 year every Monday. And I did it. And it was so amazing. It was so fun. And I grew it, but it's like, you have the graphics, you have to have someone listen to for the sound bites, you're promoting it. Then on top of that, you have to write the copy for it. And then if people want to be on, you're writing their copy for it, you're finding their graphics. Like there's so much more to it that I added. Right. And then now I'm in different podcast communities, and I just spoke at Podfest for the second time. So like more and more things are happening, right, in a very short amount of time. And we're just about to reach probably 5,000 downloads in the next couple of weeks. We just hit 4,700 or something, which is really good for organic. And so I'm saying these numbers to you guys, even though if you're listening, you're like, oh my God, Colleen, this is like too much in the weeds.
Because they are very important for one. And I'm glad that you spoke at the podcast, because I reached out to him. I'm going to speak, I think next year I'm going to speak.
At Podfest. Yeah. Podfest is an amazing community. I love their app. They're incredible. Chris is amazing. And so I just think that everyone does have something to say, but I think you have to have like a commitment. You have to treat it like a habit. You have to treat it like a show in a way. Like you can't just have a podcast that's randomly going. You need to have like something that's consistent, something people know when to tune into. Like I know you guys with the YouTube now, you guys are doing it on live and waiting for me at 9 a.m. on Monday, which I love. And it makes me so excited. I'm also like looking at doing an intro video for the podcast, which I'm talking to people about. We're also looking at maybe having a podcast tour, so that like once a quarter, you guys, we can get together. Like I know we had a Zoom one for the first 3,000 downloads. Like these are things that just naturally add. And then naturally I have the stickers, the Intoxicate the World with Love stickers that you can get on my website, which are $13. So you can put that on your computer. You can put that in your journal. Like I have all these other add-ons that I've added just from a simple podcast. And I do know that those of us who like think, well, who's going to listen to what I have to say, or why is what I say important? Like you just have to believe that there's something inside of you that the world is needing to hear, and that you are already an expert in something. Like I think we so often assume, and this took me a long time to realize, we assume that everyone knows what we know. But then like, it's like those things that people always call us for, those things that people are like, how do you know that? And most people, they're like, oh, don't charge for that, or don't say that. But it's like, don't dim yourself down to someone else's suffering. Just because someone else hasn't chose to monetize or make a business or do whatever with their life purpose, with their life passion, doesn't mean that you shouldn't. And I think just being in my PhD program this last weekend, these 4 days, I kind of really realized that, because I'm the youngest and there's a lot of people who aren't charging, even in politics, like they're not charging, they're not thinking as much as a business mindset. And our culture is very business orientated. Like your wisdom, your voice, your vibration is a business. Your energy is what will guide you into a omnipresent, omnisound, unique frequency that's going to let you breathe into the world. Like I even saw something the other day that Jeff Bezos, like in 2006, his company was only 10 million. And I was like, 2006, it was only 10 million. Like, I know that doesn't seem that long ago, or that seemed long ago, but I was like, that's actually 2006 and today is not that big of a difference. Like 10 million to, one of the biggest billionaires ever. Like that's not that long ago. Like that's not that hard to do.
Well, it's one of those things it's one of those things, as I'm saying, I'm telling you where we're going from here. Number one, view-wise, because I only focus on the views. When I say we're going to reach there, we're going to reach there, because again, it goes back to energy and intention, right?
It does. And I think, Brian, something that you're really good at is you're really good at talking. You're really good at creating your life to talk from this place of it's already done. It's already happening. Like, I know even when we were just on your show the other week, like you said, like, this is already done. It's already happening. And I guess like in media or in radio or in podcasting, from what you've seen, like, why is it important to talk from this place of you already are the host, you already are the person, you already are the thing? Like, how important do you think that is? And how do you become like that?
Well, for me is I put it on record. One, it challenges me. Two, I tell people what I'm going to do, because I say what I'm going to do and I do what I say. It makes sense. And then the third thing is there's people that just don't believe that we have what we have. I'm like, Don't ask me. Look at Terry Marie. She's got over 3 million views and counting. Why? Simply because she's been on almost every single show that we've had, whether it's in Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, or whatever the case is. She's been there. She's in the world of fitness. So it's been fitness, fashion, the world of music, movies. It doesn't matter what it is. Movie reviews and more, just everything, because the more is more important. As I'm thinking about you, I could have you on our co-host and help grow your podcast simply because of what you're doing. At that point, it's called alignment, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You're one of those world travelers. You've been to more countries than I have, but we both like to travel. But it's one of those things is that's how you reach people. When we do our Tuesday night shows alone, it's about kicking ass on Tuesday nights. And here's the thing. Tomorrow is show number 51 out of 51 weeks out of 52. Next 2 weeks from now, 2 Tuesdays from now, is a year for me. I'm going straight through the year. Who do you know goes straight to the calendar year? The answer is nobody. I'm going straight through the year and into next year because we get that momentum. And then next year, I start my second hour. So I'm going to have 2 hours back to back because I don't have enough room to put people on. Imagine that. And I'm booked 3.5 months ahead.
Yeah. And for those of you listening, like this is really important. What Brian just shared is that he doesn't have enough time for the people in his network. And so I want you to think about that because that's such a paradigm shift for those of you listening, thinking like, I need more, whether it's a degree or I need more people. Like really everything you need is already in your existing network. Everything you desire, everything that's meant to happen is already around you. Like there's literally nothing for you to do except just take action and show up consistently. And that's what Brian's doing. And his life has really manifested this way because he made a decision. He made a declaration, and then he followed through consistently with that. And I think that's really important that some people miss on media is like the consistency. You can't just show up once, like on Facebook or on these Spotify or on anything. You can't just show up once and expect there to be momentum for you, because you have to think of each of these platforms are kind of like their own mall. If you think about a mall, like to say like shopping and people, right? If you have Express and it's only at one mall, right? And that mall is really far out of the way, people aren't probably going to go. Now, if you have something like Louis Vuitton, which is already built, and Chanel, which already has a lot of momentum, there's already been decades of rapport behind that brand and experience that's behind that. So that could be at one mall specifically, and people will drive to go do that because it's already had momentum. Where you have to really think about that of like, what is your momentum? What are you choosing? So that way people know when they're at a certain store, when they're on a certain platform, that they can go to your episode, they can get it, or your media or your radio, and they know to tune in. Like it's a habit they make within their life. And they do that because you are providing an energy, you're providing a safety, you're providing a space, I guess. And I think that's probably why you've really done so much and you've gotten such big results in this area, because you've really done those things really, really well. Or what would you say?
Yes, I would say that. But here's the other thing. I have 12 co-hosts. They're all women. I couldn't have done this without the women. One feeds the other. So think about your headphones. I have monster headphones. So I love the creator, Noel Lee. He makes the best headphones in the world. The sound, he knows like that. Every musician knows who he is. Stevie Wonder is his best friend. So I like that. Lipton hand sanitizer. I found them in 2017, the world's best hand sanitizer, because it's a Lipton, no chemicals in it. I'm all about stuff with no chemicals in it. That everybody need last year? Hand sanitizers. I was laughing. I've been telling people for years I had my own hand sanitizers. So it's one of those things that I wanted to get it into the hotels, on cruise ships, and movie theaters. What do they all need now? Hand sanitizers, all of these things, whether it was Lysol or anything like that. These are all the products that I have. But I find environmentally friendly and sustainable products. That's the difference. And here's the other thing. I know what it's like to work. Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, Thanksgiving, Black Friday. 3 years ago, I got 7 sponsors on Black Friday. Think about that, Colleen. Outside the US, they don't celebrate our Black Friday outside the US. Now they're starting to. I went and got them as sponsors. Who do you know can do that? Why people will have those people who were going out last year and the year before, I was working my butt off. So I challenge people, try to outdo me. You ain't gonna happen because it takes dedication. And here's the thing, I've never been married, don't have any kids. So my baby is our Dreamweaver Artist Rent America, where your storage is, I believe, huh?
Yeah. And I I like what you're saying too, because when you tap into the place of just following what you're meant to do, like, of course you got 7 sponsors on that. Like, of course it happens. Of course, like you have all these women who are co-hosts under you or who have their own shows under you. Like, of course you're kind of like a management in media because you're doing it in a way to help others. You're doing it in a way to serve others, and you're doing it consistently. It's not like, oh, today I'm going to wake up and help others, then I'm going to go numb. It's like every moment, it's a choice by choice moment that you're making to serve and help and empower. And from that, these results that just don't make sense come.
It's one of those things. You know what it's like to be sick at age 14. It's one of these things. You're not going to let it stop you. Every day, am I living it like it's my last day? You bet your butt I am. You know why? Because I know a lot of people who've been given 4 and 6 months to live. I call them a couple times. It doesn't matter if they're outside the U.S. or inside the U.S. These are my friends. My southern mom, Edie Hand, which is part of the Elvis Presley brand, St. Jude's Hospital, Elvis Presley's cousin. She's the legacy of that. Her son is one of my good friends. His wife is one of my co-hosts. So it's about helping all these friends. So I call myself the 6 degrees of separation. And I've actually told Kevin years ago, Kevin, I'm more 6 degrees than you are. And I meant that. He laughed. He thought it was funny, but I meant it. Look what we are creating. Movie reviews and more in the art of Montague and our dream artist friends. Bringing all those artists, those authors, those filmmakers, those visionaries that don't face, who don't have a voice, that got great products or brands. They're all to our ranch where we can showcase all these things. When I tell you I'm going to have something for you, you know what I have for you. You don't know what it is yet, but when you get it, you'll be saying, oh, this is what he was talking about at the end of 2021, going into 22.
Yeah.
I already know.
And I think that's also something really important to think about. And I think I definitely do this too, but I don't know if I mastered it in the way that you're talking about, but you want to begin to think of like, if I have a podcast or if I have a show or if I'm in media, yes, there's a message that I have. Yes, there's a message that I want to share, but then what to take it the next level is how do I begin showcasing others through what I've learned? How do I begin to activate others? How under my creation can more people begin to benefit? Can more people begin to be included? And I think that's a really huge deal, Brian, that you do. And I think it's something that's really a gift and that you bring to others. Because I think a lot of people, when they start, they're nervous to start because they're in their own head, in their own way. But the moment if you just go, this isn't about me. It's just about a story that happened to me. It's about me showing up and sharing the story. And then from that place, it's about me including other people in the journey on the success. I think that overcoming the fear becomes a lot easier because you make it not so much about yourself.
Absolutely. I always tell people it's about the more. When I did movie reviews more in October of 1993, it was after movie reviews at that point. But I always knew back then more was going to be the dominant. What did I know more was going to be? I didn't know. I just thought it could be anything. Now I know it is anything and everything. It could be in the world of Marvel, the world of DC, the world of fitness, helping other podcasts like yourself, because you manifest things in a different way. You simply could be out there traveling it, and that's how you're good at doing it. And then you bring it in. And then we both have people that are either jealous or envious of what we're doing because they go, oh, look at that person. Oh, I could do that. Well, if you could do it, do it. It's like those quarterbacks, Sunday quarterbacks that think they can throw the football better on a Sunday and they're in their chair. Well, if you could do it, you'd be out there playing instead of being in the chair in your home.
I agree. And I actually had an interesting comment when I was at my PhD the other day. Someone kind of brought up, we were talking about more health issues. And obviously what I do is more holistic healing and health and wellness. I get people business results and I get people relationship results. I have really a trifecta brand that does all three. And someone kind of said, well, what you're doing, technically, it's not like you're changing the health of someone or, you're not in that decision. And I was like, that's an interesting thought because yes, I'm not at the hospital doing that, but I already went through that and I already overcame it. So I've removed myself intentionally from that decision-making because the point of getting to that decision was many betrayals of yourself, was many points of, suffering really. And I know that, and I've been there, but I've evolved on that. And so, yes, I have a brand that is more focused on wealth or creation or healing. And maybe, yeah, it's not directly, but it was interesting. I was like, that's a really interesting thought, because people will always try to passively aggressively put things at you because they are not yet doing what they want to do. And it's interesting how much that seeps through other people.
Yeah, I always tell people you become that like figure in a different way. You were doing a lot of things as you were traveling. You were writing. You were always that writer. You've got what, 3 books? You probably got another couple in you. I haven't written my first book yet.
Yeah, my first one's coming out
I
next year.
haven't done that. Yes, exactly. I admire that, because that, for me, I'm not that writer. I would rather pick up the phone and tell you everything that's going on. That's how I do it. But now I'm starting to write my future book. I already know it's going to be an international bestseller. The reason I know that because of what I'm helping these other international and best-selling authors do. And now they're coming into my world, and now I'm entering into their world. So whether it's a Bob Proctor or whatever, I didn't care about these people. They weren't in my world. Now they're in my world, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But they came to me. I didn't go to them. It's the other way around. So now I get a chance to help them out in a different way.
And I love what you're saying, because I think for someone listening, that what Brian just said is so powerful, because all Brian did was showed up and took the action for him consistently. When he did that, he now has, like I said, momentum that's going, where he attracts people and he attracts situations because he's already had energy and momentum running behind him. And this energy is like working for you while you're over here empowering new people, while your own thing is kind of moving for you. And the book would kind of add to that, but you're not going out and seeking things anymore. They're coming to you because you already took the space to create the things which now are working for you, where people naturally come to you, which is the power, I think, in what we're talking about, and the power in media.
Yes, but but here's what people don't know. I know what it's like to be homeless 3 times, not from a situation that I may have caused. It's one of those things I was relying on someone to come through with something and they didn't. And a lot of people fall into this. You might be waiting for that great job to manifest. It's probably there, but something comes and blocks you, or someone comes and say, "He found someone else that's better than you are. Hold on." And then the more you're holding on, the more you start to wait. And then all of a sudden you find yourself like, what are we waiting for? And then sooner or later, you just say, the hell with it. I gotta do it ourselves. And then you go from there at that point. So I understand what it's like when I see someone on the street. That could be me. So I'm thinking of those things like that. When someone has cancer, that could be me also. So I have empathy, compassion, and I definitely show gratitude throughout the day, many, many, many times throughout the day. That's the difference.
That's definitely a key. Showing gratitude is a key, putting empathy and knowing that any walk of life could be you within a moment. And it's so important, because when you can do that, your manifesting becomes much greater, because you can appreciate where people are at and you can send them love for where they can go. And you can see yourself in everyone walking around, which is something that's just so beautiful. So
conditionally too. And you do things not because you have to, you do it because you want to. So I'm all about making as many good causes as I can. Today after this interview, I'm going all the way to Venice. I'm going to help my friend help clean out her house. She's a hoarder. Here's the thing. By me doing that, it creates other things, other avenues coming back to me in different ways. Now, do I have to do that? No, it's my last time that I'll have to do it, but I've done it 6 times for people. Imagine this, cleaning a hoarder's house, understanding what they're going through mentally, the way they can't throw a piece of paper away because it means something to them, and having the patience to understand where they're coming from. That's not easy.
Yeah, and it's a practice. And that's part of the reason I think why you show up on media too, is because you want to be that light to give people that hope and to give people that. And I know for me, like, I show up, it definitely is a light, but it's definitely like, I feel like there's this thing inside of me as I was gifted my life back. And so my life is really given for other people to see what's possible. And I do that day in and day out. And I never knew when I started, right, where my life would be now. I couldn't have known that. It would have been impossible to even think about it. And still is like, you can't write it down. You can't imagine it. You just take it down. But when you do those small acts of things, which for me was traveling, and even what I'm getting ready to do, even what I'm doing now, like it's going to different hotels, being in different environments, meeting people that I wouldn't meet anywhere else. And then that person becomes part of the network that I'm in. And it just expands and it explores and it naturally grows, which is so beautiful. So I just love that you're sharing all this. And I think it's such a powerful talk. And I'm so grateful that you're on. And we've talked about this. I feel like people have really actionable steps they can walk away with of how to think, what to do to begin in media, what to do to begin to start manifesting, how to begin thinking of life more expansively. And if there's anything else you'd love to say, I'd love to hear if there's anything else so we can hear your wisdom, and then we'll wrap it up.
Well, it's one of those things. You know what it's like to be hacked. If you hadn't been hacked, you wouldn't have reached out. But I've always been watching what you've been doing. Mm-hmm. I'm always watching what people are doing around the world. That's the difference. And then when they finally reach out, they're surprised that I know who they are, what they're doing. Always being aware of what's going on around the world.
I love that. And I think that's awareness, it's consciousness, it's self-empowerment, that key. So I love that you ended with that, because I feel like that's all of it and everything that we talked about. So I just want to say I'm so grateful for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this, make sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or on Facebook or on any of the platforms you listen to. Make sure to reach out to Brian Sebastian if you have any questions for him, if you want to know more about media, if you want him on your podcast or anything like that. I'll leave his information and links in the show notes. And Brian, I'm just so grateful for you. You're such a light. Your way of thinking, of serving, of already seeing how to enhance someone's journey is such a gift. And I feel grateful you're here. And I know everyone who's listening, there's a lot to take away from this and a lot to ponder and a lot to embody. So I love you guys. Make sure to leave the review. Like I said, share it with a friend and get your sticker on my website, colleengallagher.co/products. We love you so much. And thank you for tuning in to receive the frequency.
Thank you. And